The unexpected fall the void of space was silent. Only the hum of an old Terran shuttle echoed in the darkness. A lone human drifted near a shattered asteroid belt, repairing broken panels on the hull. His name was Daniel, a simple mechanic who took small jobs across forgotten trade routes. He was not a soldier, not a hero, just a man trying to survive in a galaxy that often ignored humans. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and muttered, "Another day, another broken circuit." For him, this was normal, fixing machines and dreaming of Earth's blue skies. But on that night, destiny came crashing into his life. Without warning, the stars above him lit up. A strange burst of energy rippled across the black. Daniel shielded his eyes as his shuttle shook violently. The sensors screamed with alarms. Warning of unknown radiation, then it happened. Something slammed against his outer hull, hard, heavy, alive. Daniel froze, his heart racing. No ship should be here. No object should fall like that. With shaky hands, he pulled himself toward the airlock. The scanner showed a life form, weak but breathing. Against all reason, he opened the hatch and there she was. A figure collapsed into his arms. Weightless yet trembling, Daniel caught her, almost dropping his tool pack. His eyes widened as he saw the truth. She was no ordinary being. Her skin shimmered with faint silver light, like starlight trapped under delicate flesh. Her long hair flowed in strands of glowing white, tangled and wild. Her eyes half opened, revealing pupils that glowed a strange violet. And most shocking of all, she wore nothing. Her body bare, fragile, yet regal like a fallen goddess. Daniel stammered, "What the hell?" But no words came after. She clutched at his chest weakly, whispering sounds in a language he didn't know. Her voice cracked, almost broken. She was cold, trembling, her breath shallow as if she had run from death itself. Daniel carried her inside, placing her gently on the narrow bunk of his shuttle. He pulled a blanket over her, still staring in disbelief. "An alien and a princess?" he muttered. He could not explain why he thought of the word princess, but something about her presence, her sharp cheekbones, the way even in weakness she held dignity, made him feel she was not ordinary. As he studied her face, the ship's radar screamed again. Red dots appeared on the screen. Ships incoming fast. They were large, heavily armed, and surrounding the asteroid belt. Daniel's stomach turned cold. Whoever this woman was, she wasn't alone. She had been chased here, and now they had found her. The alien princess stirred, her lips moving again. This time Daniel understood a single word through his translator module. "Run," she whispered. Her eyes opened wide for a moment. Glowing with fear, Daniel's mind spun. He was just a mechanic. Not a fighter, not a savior. Why was she here? Why had she fallen into his arms? Why him of all people? The shuttle shook as a warning blast lit the void outside. Enemy ships were testing him. They wanted him to surrender. Daniel clenched his fists. His first thought was to hide, to escape. But when he looked at her again, pale and weak on his bunk, he knew one thing. Leaving her was not an option. He rushed to the cockpit, his hands flying over controls. His old shuttle was no warship, but he knew how to make her dance. Engines roared, thrusters fired, and the little craft darted between rocks and broken stones of the asteroid belt. Laser fire followed, burning trails of light in the dark. Daniel cursed under his breath. The princess cried out as the ship jolted, clutching the blanket tighter around her bare form. Her voice came again, stronger this time. "They must not take me," Daniel heard through the translator. Her violet eyes met his, desperate and filled with pain. Daniel swallowed hard. "Who are you?" he asked. But she shook her head, unable to speak more. Outside, the enemy ships spread wider, trying to trap him. Daniel pulled the shuttle into a dive, sliding dangerously close to a massive asteroid. The metal groaned, sparks flew from damaged panels, but he refused to stop. His heart pounded in his chest. His mind screamed at him to let her go, to save himself. But something deeper inside whispered differently. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt he was part of something greater. The scanners buzzed again. More ships were coming. Bigger, faster, crueler. The galaxy had just declared war on a mechanic's life. And in that chaos, one thought cut through Daniel's fear like fire. She had fallen into his arms by mistake. But perhaps it was no mistake at all. The hunt begins. The shuttle trembled as Daniel forced it through the asteroid belt. Metal scraped against stone. Sparks burst across the panels. The ship was old, fragile, and not meant for battles, yet Daniel kept pushing. Behind him, the radar lit up red. Dozens of hostile ships spread like wolves hunting a single prey. Their formation was tight, their weapons ready. They were not chasing for sport. They were hunting to kill. On the bunk, the alien princess clung to the blanket, her glowing violet eyes wide with fear. She whispered again in her strange tongue, and the translator caught fragments. If they catch me, everything ends. Daniel's breath caught. He wanted to ask questions, but there was no time. The enemy fired again. The shuttle lurched sideways. Alarm screaming, Daniel gritted his teeth, his hands steady on the controls. "You're not taking her," he muttered under his breath, though he barely understood why he said it. Through the cockpit glass, Daniel caught sight of one of the enemy ships closing in, its hull black and jagged, glowing with cruel red lights. It wasn't a normal patrol craft, it was a hunter, built for pursuit and capture. "Identify yourself," a voice cracked through his comms, cold and metallic. "You hold what belongs to the Empire. Surrender the fugitive now and you may live." Daniel's jaw tightened. He glanced back at the princess, her pale hands trembled, her lips forming silent words of despair. For a moment he hesitated. He was a mechanic, not a soldier. He had no chance against them. The smart choice was to give her up, to save his own life. But then she spoke again, her voice sharp, trembling with strength she should not have had. "If you hand me over, millions will die." The words cut into him like a blade. Daniel's chest tightened. He looked back at the comm screen. His voice was steady now, defiant. "You'll have to kill me first." He shut the comms before they could reply. The hunter ships opened fire. Lasers carved across the void. The shuttle twisted and spun, Daniel pushing the engines beyond their limits. Warning lights flashed, panels burst with sparks. But somehow they kept moving. The princess crawled to the cockpit, clutching the blanket around her. Her glowing hair fell across her face as she leaned against the console. Why save me?" she asked weakly. Daniel's eyes never left the stars ahead. "Because you fell into my arms," he said simply. "And I don't let go." Her eyes widened at his words. Something unexplainable flickered in them. Not just fear, but hope. The chase grew fiercer. Enemy ships closed in, forming a cage of fire. Daniel's shuttle shook under the impact. A blast tore through the side, and fire spread across a panel. Daniel swore, slamming his fist on the emergency systems. "Hold together, damn it," he shouted. The princess pressed her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was light but desperate. "There is one way to escape," she whispered. Her voice was filled with dread. "But it is forbidden." Daniel glanced at her. "What way?" She closed her eyes, and for the first time, Daniel saw true terror on her face. "The Shadow Rift," she whispered. Daniel frowned. He had heard stories of it. A region of space where ships vanished forever. A black scar in the galaxy, thick with gravity storms and broken space. Even the bravest captains never dared cross it. "You're insane," Daniel muttered. "No one comes out alive from the rift." Her voice hardened, her royal command breaking through her weakness. "If we do not go, we will die here. If we do go, we may live." The enemy ships tightened their net. Dozens of red beams locked onto the shuttle. Daniel's heart thundered. He looked at the rift on the scanner. A massive black storm twisting across the edge of the system. A place of nightmares, a place of death, but behind him, the alien princess stared at him with pleading eyes, her body trembling. "Choose," she whispered. Daniel clenched his jaw. His hands tightened on the controls. He had always been a simple man, a mechanic with no power, but tonight, fate had thrown him into the fire, and for the first time he embraced it. "Hold on," he growled. "We're going in." The shuttle engines roared. The small ship turned toward the swirling abyss of the Shadow Rift. Enemy captains shouted warnings, desperate to stop him, but it was too late. Daniel's shuttle plunged into the black storm. Lightning ripped across space. Gravity twisted the stars into impossible shapes. The hull groaned like a dying beast. The princess gripped his arm tightly, whispering in fear. "The rift chooses who lives and who dies." Daniel stared into the storm with fire in his eyes. "Then let it try me," he said. And as the darkness swallowed them whole, the galaxy behind them erupted in chaos. Secrets of the Princess. The Shadow Rift swallowed the shuttle whole. The stars outside twisted into spirals. Lightning tore across endless black, and gravity storms pulled the ship in every direction. Daniel gripped the controls with white knuckles. His shuttle screamed as if it would rip apart any second. Warning lights flashed red, oxygen levels dropping, engines straining behind him. The princess clutched the bunk, her glowing violet eyes wide. The rift reflected inside them like broken mirrors. Her lips trembled, and then she whispered, "You shouldn't have brought me here." Daniel snapped his head back, sweat dripping down his face. "You told me to come here." She looked down, shame crossing her perfect features, her voice cracked. "Yes, but now the rift knows it feels my blood." Daniel froze at her words. "What are you talking about?" She swallowed hard, finally speaking the words she had hidden. "I am not just a princess. I am the last heir to the Starlight Throne. The Empire hunts me not because I fled, but because inside me is the key to the Celestial Crown, a weapon that can burn entire star systems." Daniel's heart stopped. His mind tried to understand her words. "You mean, you carry a weapon?" She shook her head, her hair glowing like white fire. "No, I am the weapon." For a moment silence filled the shuttle, only the groaning metal echoing through the rift. Daniel stared at her, disbelief written on his face. "That's impossible." The rift howled outside, bolts of black lightning striking the hull. The ship jolted violently. Daniel fought the controls, his voice rose. "Why didn't you tell me this before? You dragged me into your war." Her eyes softened, pain flickering in them. "Because I thought you would leave me." "Like everyone else," she whispered. Daniel's chest tightened. His anger fought with pity. He wanted to scream. But when he looked at her, fragile, broken, yet carrying a burden heavier than worlds, his voice died. Before he could answer, alarms blared again. Strange shapes appeared outside, shadows moving in the rift. They were not ships, they were creatures. Enormous and alien, born from the storm itself, their bodies twisted like living void, their eyes glowing with endless hunger. The princess gasped. "The Rift Guardians." Daniel's blood ran cold. The creatures surrounded the shuttle, slamming against the hull. Their screeches echoed like thunder. The shuttle's shields flickered.
Barely holding, Daniel cursed. "Great, not only am I flying a dying ship,
But now space monsters want us dead too." One of the Guardians smashed the side panel. Tearing metal apart, the ship shook violently. Fire burst in the cockpit. Daniel grabbed the extinguisher and fought the flames. The princess stood suddenly, her body glowing brighter. Her hair lifted as if charged with energy. Her bare skin shimmered with starlight. Daniel froze, watching in shock as light poured from her hands. She pressed her palms against the window. A wave of pure violet energy exploded from her. Striking the rift creatures, they screamed, their twisted bodies unraveling into dust. Daniel's jaw dropped, his voice was low. Filled with awe, you really are a weapon." The princess collapsed back, her strength drained. Daniel caught her before she fell. Her head rested against his chest, her whisper barely audible. "Now you know why they will never stop hunting me if I fall into their hands." "The galaxy will burn." Daniel held her tightly, his mind spinning. His entire life he had been a nobody, a simple mechanic drifting through forgotten stars, but now, fate had thrown the most dangerous secret in the universe into his arms. Outside, the rift grew darker, storms howling louder. Enemy ships would not dare follow them here, but they would wait. And Daniel realized the truth. He was no longer just protecting a runaway princess. He was protecting the galaxy itself, and he swore silently, his eyes burning with fire. "If they want her, they'll have to go through me." The shuttle pushed deeper into the rift, lightning flashing all around. And in the shadows, something even darker waited. Humanity's defiance. The rift spat fire and shadows all around the shuttle. The hull groaned under pressure, systems screamed, and Daniel knew they could not last much longer. He pulled every ounce of strength into the controls, refusing to give up. The alien princess stirred weakly beside him, her body drained after unleashing her terrifying power. Her violet eyes met his, filled with fear and guilt. "You should let me go," she whispered. "If you carry me any further, you will die with me." Daniel snapped his head toward her, his jaw tight. "Listen, princess, if they want you, they'll have to go through me. I don't care who they are." Before she could respond, the radar lit up again. Enemy ships, dozens, maybe hundreds, waited just beyond the rift. They had formed a blockade, their massive cruisers surrounding the only exit. The moment Daniel's shuttle broke through the rift, the darkness gave way to a nightmare. The void ahead was flooded with alien warships, engines glowing crimson, weapons locked and ready. Daniel's blood ran cold. His shuttle was a grain of sand against a tidal wave. Through the comms, a chilling voice echoed, "Terran, you hold the Empire's greatest secret, Surrender her now and we may grant you a quick death. The princess shivered, her lips parting. They brought the Imperial Armada. Daniel swallowed hard. He had no plan, no chance, no future. But something inside him refused to bow. He looked at the princess, then back at the endless fleet ahead. And then, he made a choice. His fingers flew across the console, opening a channel not to the enemy, but to a frequency no alien ship had ever heard. A deep Terran code encrypted and hidden for decades. "This is Daniel Hayes," he said, his voice steady despite the storm raging in his chest. "I'm calling in the old promise. I need the fleet." The princess frowned, confusion flickering in her glowing eyes. "Fleet? What fleet?" Daniel didn't answer. His eyes never left the stars ahead. For a moment, silence filled the void. Then the darkness trembled. Space tore open. A rift of light erupted behind Daniel's shuttle, and from it massive shadows emerged. At first a single warship, sleek and angular, its hull forged in Terran steel, then another and another, until dozens filled the black the Terran fleet had arrived. Their ships dwarfed even the Imperial Armada, engines roaring like thunder, cannons glowing like the wrath of stars. They were not trade vessels, not scouts. These were humanity's hidden warships, forged in silence, waiting for the day they would rise. The alien commanders on the other side faltered, comms filled with panic. Impossible. Humanity was weak, broken. How can they field this fleet? Daniel smirked for the first time in hours. His voice was low, defiant. Never underestimate humanity. The lead Terran battleship opened fire. Its cannons tore through the void, ripping an enemy cruiser in half with a single shot. The explosion lit up the black shockwaves, scattering the enemy formation. The alien princess gasped, staring in awe at the Terran fleet. "I thought your kind were powerless," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost reverent. "But you were hiding this all along." Daniel glanced at her, his expression hard but proud. "We don't start wars, princess, but we sure as hell finish them." The battle ignited. Terran ships surged forward like wolves unleashed. Enemy cruisers fired desperately, but their shots bounced off reinforced Terran armor. Human warships moved with precision, every volley tearing alien vessels apart. The rift behind them howled, lightning flashing as if the galaxy itself bore witness to this defiance. The princess placed a hand on the glass, her eyes wide with awe. "Your people. They could change everything." Daniel kept his gaze locked on the chaos outside. But his voice was iron. "That's the plan." The armada of the Empire began to crumble, ships breaking formation, retreating in terror. They had come to capture one fugitive, but instead they had awakened humanity's wrath. And for the first time in her life, the alien princess believed in something beyond her empire, beyond her throne. She believed in the strange human who had caught her in his arms and refused to let her go. But as the enemy ships fled, one final transmission echoed through the void, dark and cold. "This is not the end, Terrans. The Empire will return, and when it does, no corner of your world will be safe." The Terran flagship locked onto the last retreating cruiser. But Daniel's gaze hardened. He knew the war was far from over. He knew this was only the beginning, and deep inside, he felt the weight of the princess's secret, the weapon she carried within. The galaxy would burn if she fell into the wrong hands. Daniel clenched his fists, watching humanity's fleet light the stars, and he whispered a vow only she could hear. "They'll never take you. Not while I'm breathing." The battle ended, but destiny had only just begun. The choice of destiny. The battlefield fell silent. Wreckage of alien ships drifted across the void, flames still burning in the emptiness of space. Humanity's hidden fleet hovered like steel giants, their cannons still glowing hot from victory. Inside the shuttle, Daniel finally released a long breath. His hands trembled on the controls. He had survived the impossible. But deep down he knew this was not the end. The alien princess sat quietly beside him, her blanket wrapped tightly, her violet eyes reflecting both awe and sorrow. She whispered, "Your people, they are stronger than I ever imagined, strong enough to stand against the Empire." Daniel turned to her, his jaw firm. "We're not just strong, princess, we endure. That's what makes us dangerous." Before she could answer, the Terran flagship hailed them. The voice of an admiral filled the cockpit, deep and commanding. "Daniel Hayes, you've broken silence, you've forced our hand. The galaxy now knows humanity is not weak. You've tied us to this war. Do you understand the weight of what you've done? Daniel's throat tightened. He glanced at the princess, then back at the comms screen. His voice was steady. I didn't have a choice. She would have died. And with her, everything else. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Then you must make a choice now. Mechanic, he said grimly. Bring her to us. Let us contain this threat, or carry her burden alone, knowing every empire will hunt you both until the stars themselves fade. The princess's breath caught. Fear and sadness flashed across her face. She turned to Daniel, her voice trembling. If you hand me to them, I will never see freedom again. I will become their prisoner, but if you keep me, you may doom your entire species. The cockpit was silent except for the hum of dying engines. Daniel's heart pounded, sweat dripping from his brow. He had never wanted this, never asked for it. He was just a mechanic, a nobody. But fate had dropped the galaxy's most dangerous secret into his arms. His mind screamed with the weight of the choice. Give her up and humanity might remain safe. For now, keep her. And every empire in the stars would descend upon Earth. The princess touched his hand lightly, her violet eyes glistening. Whatever you choose, I will accept, she whispered. But know this, Daniel Hayes. You are the first to ever defy the Empire for me. The first to see me not as a weapon, but as a person. Daniel's chest tightened. His gaze locked on hers. He saw not just a fugitive, not just a princess, but someone who carried the weight of impossible pain. Someone who deserved more than chains. Slowly he turned back to the comms, his voice steady, unshaken. Admiral, with respect, she's not going anywhere. If the galaxy wants her, they'll have to come through humanity. And they'll have to come through me. The Admiral's silence was heavy. Then with a slow nod he replied, So be it, Hayes. You've chosen your path, may the stars protect you, because the Empire will not stop. The comms went dark. The princess let out a trembling breath, her body collapsing slightly as if a weight had been lifted. Tears welled in her glowing eyes. You've just declared war, she whispered. Daniel stared out into the wreckage, the fires of battle still glowing against the black. His fists clenched, his jaw tight. Then let it come, he said quietly. Because this time, humanity will not bow. The shuttle drifted slowly toward the massive Terran fleet. Engines sparking, hull scarred. The princess rested against him, whispering words he barely heard. You were never a nobody, Daniel Hayes. You were always meant for this, and as the stars burned above them, Daniel realized something. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It wasn't just about a runaway princess. It was about destiny. The galaxy had chosen him, and he would choose to fight back, but far beyond. In the dark halls of the Imperial throne, the Empress rose from her seat, her voice cold as ice as she gazed upon the burning wreckage of her fleet. Find the Terran mechanic, she commanded, and bring me his head. For no one defies the Empire and lives. The war had only just begun.